The family's closet. Tell us a little bit about your interaction with Delton Adams. It's interesting that you both have the same last name.
Yes, it is, and he's doing the research to see if we're related. But yes, I met Delton, and what a wonderful guy. And his story, involves child abuse, sex abuse, but also.
Hang on for 1 second. We have a caller. Caller, you're on the air.
Okay.
What's your question?
My name is Ben. I'm from Richmond. You've been talking about domestic violence, and the last piece you were talking about people watching and not becoming involved. What should an individual do, or who can they contact if they know of a situation where a person is going through domestic violence, but at the same time they're trying to keep from getting involved or dealing with some of the negative fallout that comes as a result of them getting into someone else's business?
Now,
Great
just
question.
Great question. I just want to clarify the question. Ben, what I hear you asking is there might be an individual out there that sees domestic violence taking place, but I want to report it, but I don't want any confrontations from it. Is that what I hear you saying?
Exactly right.
All right. Well, Ben, I'm going to go ahead and, is that your only question?
Then, when you do that, what can the individual do after they do that? Because there is possibilities of repercussion. What can they do to sort of insulate or be prepared for what the fallout that may come afterwards?
Well, Carol, you are the one to answer that question. All right.
Okay.
Those are my only two questions.
Well, Ben, thank you very much, and thank you for calling in.
Okay.
Well, okay, Ben. First of all, thank you for being a concerned person and a friend to the persons involved. But you have to remember that you're taking steps toward helping save a life and to have some impact on the lives of the children that may be in that relationship. So whenever you call to report something, and I'm going to give you my number, you are reporting, and your name never has to be mentioned. Social services is out there where you can call social services, because those children in those living in those environments, that's child abuse. That's not a safe, good environment for those children. So social worker can go out and visit if you don't want to call the police, but to make some phone calls so that there can be a welfare check on the party, and two, continue to be a lifeline for that person if they're talking to you, because you might be the only person that they feel safe enough to talk to. And sometimes it gets to be draining, but you may be it for that person. So hang in there with them. But you can call the police, and you can call me at 646-4069, and I have ways of checking on people, and they never even know where I got information from to check on them.
Give that number one more time, please.
804-646-4069.
Fantastic.
And when you're calling to help someone, you never ever have to worry about your identity being released to them. So you don't have to worry about any repercussions of your reporting, and that's in any crime that occurs. And you have to understand that you may have a family member that someone else may have to take steps to do the exact same thing, and that's what I try to encourage people. Don't look at it as meddling in somebody's business. Look at it as saving a life or helping to save a life, and continue to coach that person. Because like I said, I couldn't convince my mother to leave, and I tried over and over again. But you may have better success, or at least you're letting someone know what's going on so that there can be some welfare checks on this person, and then maybe we can start some education, because that's the key, or get them involved in some programs to help get them back on the right track. Because when I talk about the isolation and the cycle of violence, all of those controlling techniques where it keeps that person isolated so that they don't have anyone to talk to. So that was a great question, but please feel free to give me a call, and I can promise you complete, no one would ever know that you called. Yes.
Yeah, and just like heart disease, they call that the silent killer. Is it that one, or one of those is the silent killer? Well, so is domestic violence.
Yeah.
It's a silent killer, or they have the blue wall of silence in New York with the police department. And so the same thing happens with domestic violence. One, people are so ashamed to even admit that they are being abused because they think, one, that they did something to bring that on, or maybe I shouldn't have said this, or whatever it is. So the perpetrator can make the victim feel as if they did something to deserve that, and that's just never true. And even if it is true, even if you did say something and it was smart, that's not a right for someone to take advantage of you. And so it's difficult to stand in the gap for someone, but if we don't do it, who's going to do it? And why, go to sleep at night knowing that I could have done something and I did nothing. If I don't do anything else but make the phone call, that's a whole lot that we can do.
Now, Professor Goodman, you counsel a lot of people that have been affected by domestic violence. My question to you would be, and then to you, Carol, many people have a difficult time, like you said, admitting that they have been abused. And then they start believing these self-fulfilling prophecies that they have. If you identified somebody, what would you tell them, and how would you tell them to get out of the relationship?
Well, I think I want to maybe share this. I say this all the time, and in a class, I mentioned this yesterday. When it comes to domestic violence, this is what I've learned as a result of working with women affected by this. The abuser, the first thing the abuser has to do is weaken the mother. All mothers want to protect their children. Right. That's my belief. I don't care what nobody tell me. Even if you're not there. You want to protect your children, so the abuser has to weaken the mother. That is beating her down. Now, once that person is able to do that, those children become vulnerable in that situation. And so then you have sexual abuse happening in the household, and all kinds of other things are happening to children. And so a lot of times children who are sexually abused or some kind of abuse is happening, they blame the mother. So what I want to say to you viewers is, your mother, chances are she was being beat down. She could not protect you, even if she wanted to. And so sometimes we have to see this from the other side, that if she could protect you, she would protect you. And chances are that a person that has been abused, they grew up in a household, so that may have happened to them as a child. And so now they have children, their mother didn't believe them. Right. And so now when their children tell them something, they don't believe it. So it's a vicious cycle that's occurring.
We got a few minutes left, Professor Goodman. Now, Carol, a woman wants to get out of that relationship. After she contacts you, what happens then?
Well, we can start her with being involved in programs, but we have to get her back. She has to tread back through and peel back all of that verbal, all of those layers of, we got to get her confidence back. We got to let her know that she's a decent human being. So we have to restore all that's been taken from her during this time. And the longer she's been in the relationship, the longer it's going to take to get that work done, because we got to give her confidence. And we know none of us can make a victim leave. It has to be them. So the key question for us is, what do you want to do? Because we have to empower them to be able to do this, and to enlighten them as to where they are, where they are and where they need to be. And like Melvina talked about, the children, when we talk about psychological and emotional abuse, and that's using the children, because I'll take the kids from you because you're not a fit mother. The house is not clean, but nothing that you do is right. So we have to restore all of that in her, and that's her getting her to participate in programs so that she can meet. The one key thing here is that people think that it's only happening to them.
Right.
So they're not apt to talk about it. And so, and as long as they keep it in, they're being controlled by their perpetrator, because they're not talking about it. Every time you talk about your story, it empowers you and it empowers others. because it's giving you freedom and it's giving you strength. And most people keep it a secret, and anything that's kept a secret is called a silent killer.
We got two things that we have to do because we run out of time. Melvina, you have two. Now, this is great for prevention, birthing your vision, and what Professor Goodman does. You have to attend this workshop because those folks who not only want to be able to move forward, but also are overcoming something. Birthing your vision is for you. Give them the time and the day of your next two seminars, Professor Goodman.
The Birthing Your Vision seminar is on Saturday, September 14th, 10 a.m. to 12:30. And then Prosperous Relationships is on Saturday, September 21st, 10 a.m. to 12:30.
And that's at 4609 West Broad Street, and that is at the Seed Institute. Now, Carol, give them your phone number again, please.
804-646-4069.
And Professor Goodman, your phone number?
My phone number, 804-337-8654.
And the number for the Seed Institute is 804-381-7643, or either 804-355-SEED, S-E-E-D. That's 355-7333.
And I want to tie this together. And so the name of this program is Seeds of Wealth and Wellness. And Carol Adams just shared.
Let's take this last phone call here. Caller, you're on the air.
Okay, I was wondering what kind of programs or grants are available to guys with felons?
Well, that's not a bad question to ask, and I'm going to answer that for you. Give us a call. Caller, you're getting a lot of backup feed there. Give us a call, and I'm going to take the phone off, and I'm going to give you a phone number to call so we can discuss that, okay?
Okay.
All right, I appreciate you. Caller, give us a call at 804-355-SEED, or either call me at 804-381-7643, and be at the Birthing Your Vision seminar, and we're going to talk about that. Any closing remarks, Professor Goodman?
Yeah, I wanted to just tie this in to Seeds of Wealth and Wellness. Carol Adams has resources available for persons affected by domestic violence. And so those are seeds that someone else is investing in this major issue called domestic violence.
We also want to give the callers, they've got a few minutes left, Professor Goodman. How can they make donations to assist this project, Carol Adams?
Well, they can call me at 646-4069, and we accept clothes, we accept cell phones, we accept sponsorship money, and our fund is to provide emergency services after all of the daytime services have been shut down for the day.
Cell phones.
Yes, cell phones.
And your phone number again is?
804-646-4069.
Donate your cell phones.
And is there a website with resources about places that they can go to for domestic violence?
Yes, 211. If you look up 211, they have a list of resources for emergency shelters, for different programs for men and women. Mm-hmm. And we talked about primarily women being victims, but there are some male victims, so that there are great programs. And we're working with a great group of people that will be able to assist anyone living in a domestic violence relationship.
And give them your website again, please.
At 211, or if you look at richmondgov.com and you look me up on the Richmond Police Department website, and we'll help you.
And Professor Goodman, we got 1 minute left. Your website, please.
Innerzones.org, www.innerzones.org.
And what about the Facebook page for Seeds of Wealth and Wellness?
And yes, we do have a Facebook page, and we would love for you to like us on Facebook. It's Seeds of Wealth and Wellness.
Fantastic. Do you have a Facebook page they can go to yet, Carol?
It was Carol Adams. You can look me up at Carol Adams, and I do everything electronically. And that's also the Carol Adams Foundation can be found at, you can email us at carol.adams@icloud.com.
And I'm at MD Edwards, my Facebook page, MD Edwards, and also Seed the Seed Institute. I want to thank our guests for coming and our incredible host here too.
And next week's guest?
Who might that be?
Next week we'll have on the show Kevin B.T. Kemp. He wrote the book Brain Tight.
Brain Tight!
That's right. He's a local author. And then we'll also have Rita Caldwell Ricks, who is a life coach.
Yes.
So she will be here on the show next Tuesday. So please tune in and check us out on Facebook.
Thank you for seeing us at Seeds of Wealth and Wellness.